Hey guys, Scripted here with another video, and Rian Johnson is at it again. Talked some Star Wars. Guess he's trying to clear the air or something on why his trilogy didn't get made, or who the heck knows. But apparently it's kind of funny and kind of entertaining. So let's check it out here. Mark Hamill has openly criticized how things played out for the Jedi Master. Yeah, so they basically talk about how the big issue with The Last Jedi for most people was what they did with Luke. I would say that's probably accurate, right, guys? That's the biggest issue. There's many issues, but that I would say, yeah, that's probably the biggest issue. All the other things, the Leia space floating, Holdo maneuver, all that stuff is horrible, and I think people would have complained about all those things. But if Luke had been handled well, I think people might have viewed the movie better. You know what I mean? I think they would have. They still wouldn't have liked it, I don't think, with all those other issues and Canto Bite and stuff. But Luke is so beloved that if he had been done right, I think people, you would almost put the blinders on for some of the other stuff just because he's so beloved. Again, I don't think that means anyone would necessarily have liked it, but they may not have totally despised it and viewed it as something that completely wrecked the franchise, which a lot of people do. I think it was probably the final nail. I think TFA started the ball rolling pretty good, and then The Last Jedi just after that, it's this is where it leads, so I don't care. Anyways, Abrams tried to undo many of Johnson's decisions in Rise of Skywalker. We know that they were having a pissing contest going against each other's ideas the whole time. Both of their ideas sucked. But I still can't. The Luke thing blows my mind. We've seen other stupid stuff in Star Wars, but that just, wrecking a character like that is really weird, right? That's so crazy. Anyways, appearing at the Newport Beach Film Festival, Johnson revealed whether the fan reaction to The Last Jedi was responsible for him not making new Star Wars films. No, not at all, he confirmed. In fact, it's the reason that I wanted to. My overall experience with putting the movie out, and what you're talking about with fan feedback. I mean, first of all, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, so I know the deal. I know that Star Wars fans are passionate about this stuff. We love stuff we love. We hate the stuff we hate, and we fight about it. And that's been happening since the original trilogy. I think, honestly, this is just my guess, but I think corporate said, this guy's not getting another Star Wars movie because of what he did. Because you have to understand, too, they had that huge Last Jedi toy line. And that's a big part of your revenue. It was awful. That's when basically Star Wars toys died. They didn't do super well with TFA either, but they were in dollar stores after The Last Jedi. That's when you really started to really see Star Wars toys become irrelevant. And I remember there was Finn's and Rose's and even Luke's for $1.50 at the dollar store. I think I said in another video, I bought a Luke because I think it'd be funny in 20 years. I'll have this horrible version of Luke toy, then I think it'll just be worth something because nobody bought them. And it's just such a crazy bad film. So personally, I think corporate stepped in. And I think the reason they stepped in is that the budget for The Last Jedi was $300 million. Okay. The marketing budget is estimated to be around $200 million. And then some people argue it went up to $340. But let's go with 300. That's fine. Then you add the 200. That's 500 million. So on a worldwide box office of 1.3 million, or excuse me, 1.3 billion, that would mean after they paid the theaters, they brought in about 650 million. But they spent at least 500 million. They might have spent 540 million. So if they spent 540 million, it made $110 million. A Star Wars movie, an episodic Star Wars movie, made $110 million. So I think corporate was sorry, man, we're not putting you back in there to do that. We want this brand to grow. And then of course, the subsequent material, Solo did horribly, all those other things. So, I personally believe that corporate stepped up and said, dude, you're not doing it anymore. So him saying it's not because of the fans, yeah, because it was probably because you were told no, because we're not risking a trilogy with you when your episodic film didn't do very well, right? That's the issue. They paid $4 billion for it. So let's say on the high end, Last Jedi made $150 million, right? That would put the profit at 3%, 3.5% of the $4 billion. So they only made back 3% of the huge amount of money they spent. Now, with Force Awakens, they made what was it, like 500 million after all the expenses and everything, something like that. So it at least made back a decent chunk, right? So like I think that's 12.5% is what The Force Awakens made back. So that's actually like pretty reasonable. But between those two movies, they only made about 15% of their money back, 16% of their money back. So they're still losing. I'm not saying that you're going to make $4 billion back in two movies, although I would make the argument that if Luke had been himself and you take out some of the other cringy stuff and make Luke himself, it might have made $1 billion in profit, maybe even $2 billion, because that's how much we were clamoring for Luke Skywalker, not Jake Skywalker. So anyway, he's just saying this because it's not because of the fans, but at the end of the day, to the corporation, it is because of the fans, because they were probably not pleased with what I said before, the toy line, how everybody reacted to Luke, the reaction to the film, and the fact that it didn't really make much money. That would affect them because that is a direct correlation to fan interest. Those things are a direct correlation. So yeah, he's just not, we will never know the deep inner secrets of what really went on, but that would be what I would say happened. Because Kathy was all about giving him more movies, and probably Iger said, no, we're not doing that. I was in college when the prequels came out. Are you kidding me? The prequel wars? We had a few. I mean, everybody did. So I know the deal. I know that Star Wars fans are passionate about this stuff. We love the stuff we love. We hate the stuff we hate, and we fight about it, and that's been happening since the original trilogy. But the level of it, though, and I know there wasn't internet, okay? But I don't think half the people that saw Return of the Jedi hated the Ewoks. I mean, you guys, let me know in the comment section if you think I'm wrong about that. That's totally anecdotal, just at the time. I don't think that was the case. Most people were extremely positive. Some people were like, oh, I really love that movie. I just wish it had been Wookiees instead of Ewoks. But they still really loved the movie, right? There's very few people that are like, I hated Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks. They exist, but they're very few and far between. So he's not wrong in the sense that people argued about stuff, but nothing compared to what's been happening, even with the prequels, right? And there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of internet then. There was internet, but it was, wasn't like it is now. There wasn't these giant social media platforms. I mean, there was message forums and things like that, but it wasn't at the same level it is now. And so, yeah, people argued about the prequels, but I mean, the idea that you're going to compare your movie, The Last Jedi, to the original trilogy, like, oh, people argued about that too. Like, dude, as if it's at the same level. Like, it's not even close. I was in college when the prequels came out. Are you kidding me? The prequel wars, we had a few. I mean, everybody did. Okay, so the prequels did create a lot of division. People were not pleased with some of the decision-making that went on with the prequels. But the prequels still made quite a bit of money. They did. And most people feel like the story itself was told and it didn't have, like, gross contradictions. The complaints of the sequels were, like, corny dialogue, young Anakin flukily doing stuff, like the Trade Federation ship and stuff. Some of the childishness with Jar Jar. Those were the things that people complained about. But those weren't, like, lore-breaking, terrible things. The only one I can think of in that respect that the people who complain about it view it as lore-breaking would be the midichlorians. Even though technically it is not lore-breaking. Like, it never really bugged me that much because it doesn't... It's an addition. It's technically an addition. It doesn't technically break lore, right? That's the only thing I can think of that was really a serious complaint in terms of how the story was told. Yeah, people argued about the prequels. Okay, fair enough. But even then, it still wasn't as divisive as The Last Jedi. It wasn't even close. There's no way. How many people that watched The Last Jedi do you figure actually liked it, like, percentage-wise? Like 10% or something? 20? Like, what do you guys think? Like, it can't, like, all of you have friends and you're in the Star Wars community, right? Like how many people do you really think? Like, I get it, we're all kind of in our own bubbles to a degree, but if we, like, really span out and just think, I don't know if it's a very high number of people that like The Last Jedi that went and saw it. I think it's, like, maybe 20% at the absolute most. So it's like, that's really, really jarring, And the prequels weren't that hated. Where, like, almost all people didn't like it. Like, that's not the same thing. But, of course, he's making those comparisons because it's not his fault that the movie sucked and everybody hated it. It's just the way it is because it's Star Wars and everybody just always argues about it all the time, right, guys? Right? Like, it's just he's just shifting responsibility is all he's doing. And in fact, you know what would be really cool is if Rian Johnson came out and was like, you know what? Looking back, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done what I did. I thought it was going to be interesting and new and neat, and it wasn't, and it was a mistake, and I shouldn't have done it. Imagine if he did that. I'd actually have a lot more respect for the guy. Even JJ came out and said, yeah, he didn't apologize, but he said, yeah, we didn't have a plan, and we should have had a plan. So he's at least admitting they made a mistake, right? He's not taking full responsibility, but at least he's admitting he made a mistake. Rian can't even go that far. And so the notion that Star Wars has been this kind of Shangri-La united fandom and that nothing could then split that apart is false. Okay, that's true, but again, you're not making good comparisons. Johnson added it, the reality is Star Wars has always been something that has meant different things to different people, and I think that's part of the fun and passion of it, as fans, is arguing about it respectfully. Yeah, I agree, but again, that doesn't take you off the hook. You still made a really, really horrible, divisive movie, bro. I've talked to so many people over the years since we made that movie who have such deep connections to Star Wars, who have deep connections to that movie. Okay, but are they good connections, Ryan? Or are they bad connections? You wonder. The filmmaker noted, and so it's been the positive experience I've ever had with anything I've made in terms of interacting with people who've seen it. Well, I mean, talk about bubbles. I mean, if it's been the most positive experience of anything you've made to talk to people that watched it, then you are surrounded by yes men and people that are kissing your rear end. Because there's no possible way that you've actually talked to a wide, berth of different people and different opinions if you're saying that it's been the most positive experience I've ever had with anything I've made in terms of interacting with the people who've seen it. I mean, we know from interactions he's had online, like on Twitter and stuff, that it's not as if it was just this giant positivity fest and everyone was throwing rose petals all over him and confetti. I mean, so I don't understand why he's saying these things, because we can check receipts. It hasn't been super positive. I think maybe he just means, like I said, in his little bubble, in his group of friends or whatever, people in Hollywood, right? They all kiss each other's butts all day. That's all they ever do. You are clearly interacting with friends that are just, telling you they love it, or you're just surrounded by, you happen to be surrounded by like a whole bunch of people that just happen to like The Last Jedi out of that small percentage that actually do. So I don't know. These people are all full of crap, I think. I came out at the other end of it loving Star Wars fandom more than I did even going into it. You're just saying stuff so you can get another movie, bro. Nobody. I don't believe that. I find that to be very, very foolish and silly. I really, truly do. Johnson has repeatedly said that he would still like to make a Star Wars trilogy, but it appears no closer to happening. We don't even know what it would have been about or whether Lucasfilm loosely agreed to let him make more movies in an effort to further drum up interest in The Last Jedi. I think Kathy wanted him to. There's rumors that she has been difficult for writers, but then there's certain people that she seems to just be like, do whatever you want. And I don't know if these are just her friends or something, but it's like with Rian Johnson, she wanted him to do a trilogy. That's why it was announced. But then corporate, I'm assuming, came in and said no. And that sort of, I think, reflects her just sort of picking and choosing who she wants to just be able to do whatever they want, because there are several other people and rumors surrounding Rogue Squadron and Patty Jenkins and some of the other writers, right? Because they're on their fourth writing crew now for the Rey movie and all this other stuff. So there's clearly people that she doesn't allow to do whatever they want. And then there's certain people like Rian that she allows to do whatever they want. And that's, I think, a problem with the leadership when you're kind of just picking and choosing who you're going to sort of hold their feet to the fire for what, you want them to do, and then allowing other people to do. And also, it could just be that that's what she wanted. She wanted Luke to be a bum, and I think that's a big part of it too. And so Ryan's, willing to do that. He was willing to do the things that maybe other directors weren't willing to do, or writers, like the ones that have walked, because they saw, I'm not getting involved with this. And maybe Rian was like the guy that was like, oh, I'll do whatever you guys want. Yeah, girl power, more Rey, less Luke, more this, more that. You know what I mean? It feels like maybe that's the thing. And so they announced his trilogy, and then the corporate's like, no, you're not doing it. But anyway, what do you guys think? I think it's funny that he's still deflecting and he's still acting like it's normal for people to have the vitriol they have against The Last Jedi, and that it's like super normal that he made this super divisive movie and that his experience with fans is so positive and it's been so awesome. Do you guys believe that, or do you think he's just blowing smoke up people's rear ends, trying to get like positive vibes so he can get back into the Star Wars game? That's kind of what it seems like to me. But this guy just was horrible. I still can't believe The Last Jedi exists. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a good day.